Good morning, Drew.
Morning, Dan. How are you today?
I'm really well. Good morning, listeners. Welcome back once again to another episode of Drew and Dan in the Morning. It is, in fact, morning. I do, in fact, have coffee.
Nice, nice. Glad to hear it.
Welcome back. How was your weekend?
My weekend was long, actually. No, it was good. I can't say I did anything that exciting. Let me think here quick. How was your
Yeah.
weekend, Dan? Let's start with that.
Oh,
It
okay.
sounds
All
like
right.
you've
We'll go
got a
into
heck of a
mine.
weekend. So,
Well, not a heck of a weekend. My wife ran yet another marathon. She ran her 53rd marathon
oh my
up
gosh.
in Duluth, Minnesota, and it was her 11th time running that particular marathon.
Wait, where
While
did you
she
say? Where did she run it?
in Duluth,
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So
Yes.
she went all the way to Minnesota just to,
Well, we live in Minnesota, and every time I say the word Minnesota, my Minnesota accent comes out. So I appreciate you making me say it repeatedly for everybody to hear, because that long O, you just cannot escape it as a native Minnesotan. But anyway, when she's doing these things, I am not running a marathon with her. I've run one.
no.
I typically go to a coffee shop or a cafe or whatever, and I work on my computer, my projects, and that is what I did. I dropped her off at 5:15 a.m. and I was downtown Duluth, mostly at a Starbucks and then at a park uh, between the two, between the hours. And then when she completed her marathon in just over 5 hours, then I picked her up. But I was working most of that time, a little bit of walking around and taking pictures, but I got a lot of work done. So how about you?
I didn't do any of that. I didn't run any marathons. I didn't even hang out at the coffee shop, which is kind of rare. But it was I think it was Father's Day
It
recently
was Happy Father's Day to you.
over the weekend. And, yeah, thank you, and you as well. But I mostly was home doing things with the family and did some grilling and cleaning and some little projects around the house. Nothing that exciting.
That sounds like a nice Father's Day.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of news. I just want to start with one of these things. So there's so many things. But let's talk about this one first. Let's talk about App Store rule changes.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been on top of any of these. I saw one on, I think it was Twitter, X, whatever it's called. Someone was talking about an app rejection, as people often do, and it basically says the app requests users to rate the app on first launch or during onboarding before they've had enough time to gain a clear understanding of the app's value.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple episodes ago.
Right, we did, but it wasn't a new rule then, though. But to me that was new news. I don't know. I know we talked about it as being a kind of an anti-pattern that developers often like to do this really annoying thing. And
Yeah.
one of the problems with anti-patterns is that if you don't do them and everybody else is doing them, then you're just at a severe disadvantage.
Mm.
Everyone knows that ratings and reviews, they drive how visible your app is in the store, which directly goes to downloads and if you actually can make money. At the same time, you've got if people are doing the thing that's not allowed and you're not, you're at a severe disadvantage. So it's actually pretty good to see them cracking down on that. Whether or not that's a new rule, I guess I don't know then.
Yeah,
Uh,
we talked about that before, but I respect that because when you set a rule in place, everybody has to abide by the rule. And otherwise you get in my industry, work life, that's called procedural drift. And where you have a rule in place, but people aren't really following it, and it's kind of then it becomes a guideline, and then it's just, oh yeah, nobody does that, and so why even have the rule at all, right? So you get this procedural drift. So every now and then you have to make a correction back. And it sounds like Apple's making that correction. What other news did you have?
Another thing that came out of Apple was more about that Apple is removing App Store clutter. Apple is apparently preparing to remove what it describes as opportunistic apps that provide little value to iPhone and iPad users. Already had a policy of not approving applications that are, quote, indistinguishable from what's already widely available. But there's been kind of a new round of notifications going out to developers that it's going to start removing what it calls low value software that doesn't attract attention from users. One of the phrases in there was that if it hasn't attracted new customers. And that's kind of concerning. Everyone's a little bit concerned about that one because there's a lot of apps that don't attract new customers that are, we're still working on them, right? Like we're hoping to get the new
Yeah,
customers.
none of my apps attract customers, none of them. So I'm trying. But
And
yeah.
then there's the 4.3b guideline that says don't submit apps that are indistinguishable from what's already widely available. And then they talk about opportunistically creating variants of existing app categories or popular apps degrades App Store discovery. So they're saying don't just make a quick copycat of something that is already hitting well or whatever. And then it talks about certain kinds of apps such as dating, flashlights, sound effects, wallpaper, simple timers, and fortune telling are well established in the App Store, and we will not accept new submissions unless these apps offer a meaningfully different or improved experience.
So I read this. I was aware of this because there was some chatter about it on Blue Sky, and the complaint about, well, I'm trying to make an app that attracts customers. You're going to kick my app off the App Store,
Right.
and I, and then the apps that are indistinguishable. Like, I get it. Like, we don't need more timer apps unless it's a very unique. I mean, you can reinvent the mousetrap very well, right? Uh, but there's also a like a what is it? You know, a gate that you pass through as a developer once you've submitted and gotten an app on the App Store. That's like a rite of passage because it's a whole process that you have to go through. So if you make your first app and it's my first app that I tried to make was a timer app for timing my washer and dryer, so that I didn't have to listen for the beep. Right? That was my
Okay.
first idea. This is like, and it wasn't really going to be an app. It was just like, I'm just going to focus on doing this. Uh,
Right. Right.
so we don't need more of those, right? The first app you've ever made, and then I'm going to submit it to the App Store. I didn't try to submit that one, but there is a rite of passage to go through to get an app on the App Store. It's hard to just submit an app. What do you have to go through to go through app review, get rejected, complain about it online, and then submit again? That's a whole process. So I wonder if a solution, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, like would there be a test way of here's how to submit your app to the App Store process, but you actually have to go through the process. The tool I'm going to talk about later actually touches on that a little bit. But anyway, those are my 2 cents about that.
No, I think that's interesting. I mean, I think none of this is unexpected. I think Apple's had. I think they've left a lot of the rules sort of static for kind of a while until this last year or so when they've been really just inundated with new submissions from, vibe coded apps. And I don't remember which one it was. I don't remember if it was AppFollow or somebody like that. It posted a blog post talking about that new app approvals or something were up by, I don't know, 80% or something compared to the previous year. And you got to think, well, okay, if that's true, then Apple definitely has to do something to screen the cruft a little better. And,
Absolutely.
whether or not my app or your app is considered cruft is obviously a concern. I don't want my app to be cruft. I'd like other people's cruft to be removed and mine to just be given the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to turn it
Yeah.
into something good at some point. Um,
Right. How do you distinguish that, especially from a 1.0? It's tough.
I don't know. Initially I was thinking that we might see something like increased App Store fees to add friction. Um, to slow things down. But that aside, I mean, I think, enforcing the rules that are already there is probably a pretty good idea. We talked about that previously a little bit with, I think it was Cal AI, something about the paywall, right? But there are other changes. They've strengthened some of the things, some of the content here. There's under user generated content, there's the section 1.2 of the app review guidelines. There's how you have to filter and give people a mechanism for what is it, reporting offensive content? Yeah. And the ability to block users from abusive users from the service,
Mm,
publish
yes.
contact information so users can reach you. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when I was submitting the MITS, because it allows user-generated content, it's a social network, so there has to be a means of blocking users and reporting users. And the means of reporting users that I did is just you email me.
Okay.
That doesn't scale well at all,
But it
but
works today,
it,
right?
it it works today, and I know that this should the app ever. I mean, it would be a good problem to have that I was getting overwhelmed with emails, but at this moment I have received absolutely zero, so it's working fine.
And there is that really nice API from OpenAI that they still offer for free, I believe, which is It is a like a content moderation API where you basically send your content to it. It sends back a thing saying, rating it as it might be bad in these areas or it might not be, and scales and stuff. And hopefully they're not just slurping up everybody's content. I don't think they are, but
Oh, they are.
that's
But
that's
well, if a product is free, you're the product, right? Like, so you're gonna give us your
true.
data, and then we're going to moderate it in an AI way. So there was a discussion that I heard, and this I'll paraphrase to not get into explicit content flags here. But so the idea of you use an AI model to do your content moderation, there's a difficulty in expression where if I say "f yeah," right? Word yeah,
Right.
"f yeah," that's good, right? I mean like yeah. But if I say
Yeah, that's a positive thing, and you're not trying to use it in a bad way. Even though, although if it's showing it to a 5-year-old, maybe you still don't want to show it to them,
good,
right?
exactly. And then if I say "f you," well, that's a bad. So now, how do does the LLM, can it discern the difference there? And this is a different discussion on different podcasts, but
It's a great question.
basically it's an impossible problem. Also, it is perfectly fine from a freedom of speech standpoint to say "f you." That is, you may not like it, but that's freedom of speech. So
Right,
anyway,
right. Anyway, one thing that Apple added recently to the 1.2 user generated content. Well, I'm comparing the June 8th version versus the February 20th version. So I don't know. Apparently, I didn't get any updates in the middle. I don't know if they didn't update or if my thing wasn't running. But the section they added says it is your responsibility to remove content that violates this guideline, your terms of service, or your community standards. If we find such content, we will ask you to remove it and provide a plan to improve your compliance with this guideline. So they put you on a performance plan.
oh,
Based on your response, your app may be removed from the App Store until you can demonstrate improvements that bring your app into compliance. Egregious or repeated behavior is grounds for immediate removal of your app from the App Store and from the Apple Developer Program.
ouch. User generated content is tough. It's part of the reason that I do not allow pictures to be posted on the midst, because it's just there's a whole thing, that comes as soon as you allow public posting of photos. It's, by and large it's good, but the bad is real bad.
Yeah. So as far as that, I mean, it sounds like they're definitely trying to strengthen language on that, which, we're about the repeated violations and putting you on a performance improvement plan of some sort. Like that's, I haven't seen that one in any of their guidelines before,
I
which
would
is,
not want to be put in
you
that
know,
category.
kind of, I think it's good
It
actually.
is
I
good.
think it's good because I think for all of these things, I think we have, often some pretty big players in the category that are allowed to largely run afoul of a lot of guidelines, and it doesn't matter at all,
Yeah, yeah. Well, when it
ever.
comes to the Grok generated images come to mind, and I don't know if that's what they're specifically saying, but like, hey, you need to get your act together. So, especially those big players like that. Well, I don't have any news this week, but I have a tool
Okay.
and we talked about it before. It's Icon Composer. So it's a bit of a confusion or gripe on my part. So we talked about Icon Composer, the new, I think it's beta 2 this year for iOS 27. And what I did, because I just submitted my new app, Relay Team Finder, to the App Store for test flight. So I uploaded it to the App Store Connect.
Really? Oh, that's great.
The beta just went live, I think yesterday, actually, as we record this on June 22nd. So there is a beta out there. It's going to be kind of a limited release beta. I'm not going to run a continual beta, but so when I uploaded it, now I generated the icon
Okay.
using Sketch myself,
Beautiful.
all by my little self. It's a very basic icon. I exported the layers into Icon Composer as you do, and then I tweaked the liquid glass. We talked about this last time, and then I exported that into Xcode, and then I uploaded it to the App Store, and it failed.
Oh no.
And it failed because when you export icons with Icon Composer and drag it right into your asset folder in Xcode, you get an alpha channel. And I'm not a graphic designer, but you get transparent pixels. And I just kept thinking, how can this possibly be? So I went back and rewatched the WWDC video from 2025 about Icon Composer, and there was a little thing that they said in there when you export your graphic from your tool, Sketch, Figma, whatever you use, export it as SVG. So I thought, aha, I was exporting as PNG. So I went back and I exported all my layers. There's only two, not including the background, which Icon Composer does for you. Anyway, I exported those layers as SVG. I re-exported from iComposer into Xcode, re-uploaded to App Store Connect, and failed again because of transparent pixels. And this is my gripe or confusion. I'd love feedback on this. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Because why on earth would the tool provided from Apple to create icons, they say just drag it, export it, and drag it into Xcode, and you've got your icon, which is true. But as soon as you try uploading it, it has, you can't have an alpha channel. And why would it not strip that out?
Interesting. So my experience has been that you don't export from it, but instead you drag the whole .icon bundle into your Xcode project and set that as your icon.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know it's crazy, right? What? It's like what?
What now? It said in the video, export from Icon Composer. What are you talking? So you're talking about the file made by Icon Composer?
I'm saying the .icon, which is actually a bundle, so it's like a folder with files in it. Well, two things, right? You drag drag the whole thing into your Xcode project, or just keep it in your Xcode project.
Okay.
And then you set whatever the name of it. Let's say it's called, my icon .icon. You would just set your app icon name, where you specify the file name for your app icon. You set it to that, and cleverly, if you have, I believe this is correct, if you have an old icon that's one of the bitmap ones that you use on older operating systems, you can also have that be the same name, and it'll choose that one for the old one and this one for the new one.
Okay, I have that.
But,
So you're saying take that and drag the Icon Composer file, drag that into my Xcode project.
Yeah, it'll show up when you drag it in there. It shows up and with a little icon that's got, well, see, I'm using the word icon too many times, but it's got like little stacked layers as the little icon in your Xcode.
So I'm going to build this or archive it and upload it. Oh, build failed right away. Wait a minute. What failed? No idea.
Here's another one I want to bring up quick while you're working on that. Another kind of piece of news. It was from Apple Developer News. It's new domain for sign in with Apple and iCloud Plus hide my email. And it says that new addresses generated for both features will be issued on the new domain, which is private.icloud.com. So sign in with Apple addresses previously issued under privaterelay.appleid.com will now be issued on private.icloud.com, and the iCloud Plus hide my email address previously issued on iCloud.com will now be issued under private.icloud.com. So whichever one they were before, new ones will be issued under private.icloud.com. Now, if you've already set up one of these, either sign in with Apple or a hide my email, and you've already got one at one of these old subdomains, it'll still work, right? Like the hide my email address is one of the great things about those is they were on iCloud.com. Now, I understand why Apple's just trying to like clean it up and put it under one spot, and it makes perfect sense. However, it's a huge problem because now I can just if I don't want to accept people's private hidden emails, I can just block anything that says private.icloud.com. When previously, when they were issued under iCloud.com, well, now I was in trouble. I can't block everyone that has iCloud.com. If you did hide my email. Now, signing with Apple was previously showing up, like if you didn't choose to share your email, it gave an email that was under privaterelay.appleid.com. So that could also have been sort of blockable. But now, just anything you put under hide my email, you're going to have 1,000 websites out there that like say, oh, we're just going to block that. Private email not allowed.
Could you,
something like that?
would this allow you to not let people use hide their email? I mean, if you did sign in with Apple.
So you've got a website, let's say, and you're trying to get someone to sign up, and they go to sign up. You say, hide my email. It generates something at private.icloud.com. The website Server side says, "Oh yeah, we're not accepting that." Says, "Sorry, choose a different email." You know.
I wonder why Apple did that because that seems like poor. I mean, if I want to hide my email, which I probably use that 50% of the time. I don't know. It probably depends on my mood when I do it. I wonder why they did it. I don't know, but I did see that about like the changes in the hide my email, but I was like, okay, I don't understand why, but whatever.
Yeah, I didn't at first. My first glance was like it kind of didn't matter, but then sorry, but then after I think about it, it could really be a problem. I think it'll become a lot of people will try to block it
Yeah,
just
yeah, that,
just because why would I want to take the private one that they can delete when I can just take a real one that they won't?
yeah,
If I'm the
yeah.
website.
But it reduces trust in the system, though. I mean, I like the fact that I can use this temporary thing, this temporary what's
Absolutely.
fine with Apple. Now you're reducing the effectiveness. If platforms start limiting the use of that,
Yeah, and to be clear, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet, but it's brand new news, so give them time. uh, I have heard other people complaining about that same thing, though, that it's probably will be a problem. Although, to be fair, the sign in with Apple hidden emails, which is kind of where I've used it the most, those were already getting issued under private relay.appleid.com and not iCloud.com. Maybe it's a change that doesn't matter all that much. What are your thoughts?
well, like I said, I think that it didn't really affect me to begin with that I thought about, but if a platform detects that I'm hiding my email and rejects it, I'm just going to not sign up. So because that's a
Right.
distrust issue. Now I don't trust you. You're just harvesting my data. I mean, I know you're harvesting my data. I know that my data,
Right.
it's out there. But if you're going to such lengths as to get my, that, what other lengths are you going to? It's kind of that, a ladder of trust. I don't know.
No, hopefully it'll be a non-issue. I just wouldn't be surprised if it becomes an issue because it seems like when people can do a thing, they do it. Not everybody, but sort of the bad actor types. And again, you've got that same thing of the mindset of that I was talking about with respect to the thing we talked about earlier, which is, well, if everybody else does this and I don't do it, I'm at a disadvantage. And I think that's, in some cases more of a fear, in other cases it's more of a reality. This one's probably more of a fear, but anyway, that I thought was interesting. Picking through some of the other things we didn't talk about previously, there are other App Store changes that are kind of interesting. Group and volume purchases. Have you seen this?
We talked about it briefly, you and I, but refresh my memory again because I know you were looking into it.
So, yeah, Apple is adding a group and volume in app purchase or subscription system. So, right now, if you are, let's say, a school or a business or an institution of some sort, if you want, let's say, all of your people to be on, I don't know, Relay Team Finder or something like that,
Good plug.
you think, hey, this would be the perfect thing for our people, but each person has to go and subscribe for what is it, $59 a year, something like that. Uh,
Sure.
okay, well, I'm just throwing that out there. So now we've set a bar. $59 a year. You could say, okay, well, I want if people are buying, let's say, 10 of these subscriptions, let's make them be 10.99 a year. Give them a deep discount if they're buying more than some number. And so you can do it as two different ways. There's group purchases, which are just for regular people that are interacting with your app. You can sort of merchandise it in your app. You can have a thing saying, hey, how many seats do you want? And then if you do that, so you could say, and it's the same purchasing API that you're used to, but you just put a quantity with it of 10 or 50 or 1,000 or whatever. Hopefully it's 1,000. And, and then what you get back through the regular purchasing system is you get an invitation link that you can then send to other people, and they use that link, and then it allocates them one of your subscriptions out of this group.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I could see from a team perspective, just to put this into context, I can visualize a team. You've got a team of 12 people. We all want to have the same app. one person buys it, maybe everybody pays that person. We get our deep discount because we're buying 12 of them. Is that about
Right.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, you know, okay, so something like that, that's definitely kind of a retail way to approach it. There's also for, so let's say you're a school or a doctor's office or a, you know, whatever. And you normally are setting up your either your maybe your Macs or your phones are set up through your mobile device management system, your MDM, you know, so you're setting these up with like Apple Business Manager or what's the other one called, School Manager or something like that. I forget the name. But basically, on those, what you normally are doing. So previously, what you could do is you could put, like, if you had a paid app, let's say it was $50. Someone that was using these like Apple Business Manager or an MDM could say, okay, I want all of this group of my users to have that app. And they could buy that app, you know, okay, well, we need 110 of them. So we'll buy 110, and then I want to put it on this one and this one and this one. And, you know, these people get it and these people don't. And that's how they could manage that. And every now and then in App Store Connect, you would see something like this. You'd see like, oh my gosh, I had like 50 purchases today of my app, or, you know, downloads or whatever. And what was that about? And, you know, sometimes you wouldn't see all the users come with it, like if you were tracking analytics and things, but you would just see these lumpy things and you go into it and it says like institutional sale. But that only worked for the purchase of the app, not for subscriptions, not for in-app purchases. I believe this one is all subscriptions. I don't recall if it was also in-app purchases, and I don't have my notes right here, uh, but the way it works there is a little different. Instead of getting, so they, the same thing, they can go in and say, I need 127 of these, and they get a discounted price. And we can talk about that in a second, the discounted price, how that works. But then now they says, okay, you have 127 of these. Who do you want to allocate them to? And they allocate them just like they would do with the rest of their apps. So they can say, now they can say, if your app is something that would appeal to that sort of a group, they could say, okay, great. Well, we're getting these for our whole, you know, assign them to people. And like if that person leaves, I can pull it back from that person, give it to this
Mm.
person. And as far as, you know, in your app, like again, it's just a quantity purchase. They could do it if they're doing it in your app, like with the group purchasing. That's a thing within that you have to show a user interface for to make it so they can choose a quantity or whatever. However, if they're doing it through like Apple Business or the School Manager one, they're usually going to do this through Apple's interface and select it there. And so you'll just get, you know, the purchase notification like normal. And then when one of the people logs in with this, you'll see that they've already purchased
Hmm.
a seat or
And
whatever.
this is part of the StoreKit 2 API. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct. And there's a session WWDC video on it. So should probably look at that one.
Because you work with this with one of your client apps. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got some client apps that are managed under the enterprise program, Apple enterprise program, which is again also through the Apple Business Manager and their MDM system. They do, that's how the app gets on everyone's devices. Someone goes and clicks something somewhere and it says, okay, now everybody gets the next version of this app, and then they get updated, and they can choose which devices get them and which ones don't. And but the way for both of these, they're like kind of two halves of the same system. Uh, the way the discounts work is they're like kind of like the taxes. They're like a progressive inverse progressive tax. So like if a quantity of one, let's say, is $20, and you buy one, you pay $20. But let's say you said at one they're $20, at 2 to 9 they're $15, and 10 or more is $4.99. Let's say $5. If you set it up like that, and I buy 30 of them, the first one is still going to be at the $20. Number 2 through number 9 are going to be at the whatever number I said, $15. And
I view it like a tax bracket, right?
it's just like the tax brackets. Yeah. Yeah. So the first, you know, the first unit is more expensive, and then the next ones are cheaper, and the next ones are cheaper. So, but you can, you know, certainly say, well, hey, look, you know, if you do this, your average price is, if you're getting 50 of them, your average price is going to be pretty close to the higher number, the lower number.
Right, right. So as that number goes up, if you say 100 or 1,000, that up at the 1,000 point, that number should be pretty low. So the average.
Right. You could say, hey, it's 1 to 10 is, $25, and 11 to 99 is $15, and everything over 99 is $5. You could say that. And if you buy 1,000, well, you're going to be awfully close to the $5 price, but overall,
Yeah,
but
that could be a subtle. It's a subtle pricing nuance that could be easy to overlook. You just think that, oh, everything. If I'm buying 100 of them, then they're all $5 each. Well, that's not actually the case.
right, right. And it's not. And it does matter because I don't know how this works, but like if I buy 10 now and I buy 20 later,
Hmm.
how do I get charged then? Is the 20 a new batch of 20 where the first 10 are still at the high price? I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it to that extent, but that's a question, I guess. I know it applies to subscriptions. I don't know if it applies to
Single
single
purchase.
in-app purchase, yeah. But that was sort of interesting. Uh, Gosh, there's so many things. Retention, the customer retention APIs. Now, were you working on that, Dan?
No, I was not.
Weren't you working on something? You were working on some kind of win-back messaging, or you talked about it, I thought.
Mm-mm. I was. It was just subscription StoreKit notification server side. That's not
And
right.
what does that do?
Well, it's just taking it's taking your StoreKit code and putting it on the server, and that's what I was working on. So every transaction.
Oh, so it handles all the parts of your purchase on the server side, and
Yep.
then your server can just tell your app what's what.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes, yeah, correct. The subscription service has moved to my server, and my server is talking to Apple's server when a purchase is
Oh, that's great.
made instead of it all being on device. The reason I did that was because I wanted to be able to allow my beta testers to have everything unlocked. When you subscribe to an app on the beta, the subscription expiration time is drastically accelerated. So there's some features on my social network that are behind a paywall, a subscription wall, that if you don't subscribe, you can't check into more than 5 places. So beta testers would have to
Uh,
constantly resubscribe if they wanted to check in and post from these locations. And it's
because the beta subscription only lasts a short little bit in the sandbox thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it expires at, I think I want to say that a yearly subscription expires after a week. So that's not a great experience as a beta tester. So I moved everything to the server, and then I just put a true false thing on every user is beta tester. And I can, from my end, I can set just true false. I can just flip that to true, and then they just get every
Okay.
unlock.
Okay.
And that's why I went through that whole process. But it was an interesting,
Wow.
yeah,
Sounds like a process.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, it is better because you can manage your users, your subscription levels, and features much more fine grained. And I haven't looked at it for a couple of weeks, so I couldn't get into the nuances. But it is a great way to do it. There's some dark patterns that you can get into there because you know immediately if somebody unsubscribes or they cancel their renewal, it sends that notification immediately, and the Apple's API does.
Really?
So you could then go down that rabbit hole of if you have gathered email addresses and you've registered to say that I'm going to use these email addresses to serve, you know,
And push notifications or something and say, "Whoa, what are you doing, buddy?"
then you could get into the win back, and so there's good things there too, but it's just I hate those dark patterns. Like if I want to unsubscribe because I'm not happy with the app, I'm going to unsubscribe, and that should be a message to the developer that hey, I'm people are churning,
Yeah.
and why are they churning? Where are they churning? Maybe
Be great to be able to ask them though.
yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
So
Good
there's
point.
that. Could be like, "Whoa, looks like you're leaving. Can you just answer us one, two questions?"
Right.
First question,
What could we do better?
what could we have done better here? And number two, how about if we give you a discount and you keep working?
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate overwhelming, people with that.
Yeah.
I hate feeling overwhelmed with stuff like that, so I don't do it. Plus, I don't have any subscribers, so it's not really a problem.
That works.
That was that's what it,
Yeah, because no, so related to that, there's this retention messaging API that was in beta on a you had to be sort of accepted into their thing. And I know Revenue Cat was doing something with that. But my understanding is that in the fall here, what we're going to see is if you go to unsubscribe to something, you're going to right there in that unsubscribe screen from Apple's thing, you're going to see you're going to be able to have, as a developer, have a win back message and an offer for the user. And it sounds like you might not get to know who the user is specifically. Like you might know that yeah, I don't know exactly what they're going to offer there, because they have, sounds like they're going to give you a couple different forms of messaging that you're going to, so you can have like prefab messages of different sorts that you could offer. But and then you could say, hey, sorry to see it go, but ideally you would want to say, well, like, boy, if this is someone that's really been using my app, maybe I want to offer them something good.
Hmm.
But if
A
it's someone
long
that,
time.
they
Yeah.
haven't really touched it in 6 months, well, but they just realize they're paying, then maybe there's no point to offering that. Or at least maybe you could offer something different. I don't know what the level is there, but it sounds like that's going to be right in that, at that point of when you hit unsubscribe, it's going to give you an option to say, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? How about 5.99 instead? I don't know totally how I feel about that, but I also don't know all the details. So
And this is a revenue cat
no,
feature.
I'm sorry, this is an Apple App Store feature.
Okay.
Revenue Cat was part of the beta, so you could put in your Revenue Cat dashboard, you could enter your something off of your App Store Connect into Revenue Cat to say, I want to try to be on this, and they might put you on it and they might not, and it was like kind of a big thing. But
Yeah, I have a perfect example for this.
okay,
Maybe it's a perfect example. I just unsubscribed to an app that I was using, and it was $10 a year, and it's a project management Kanban board app, and
okay,
the developers have not touched it they released it on the store, and it's been at least 6 months, I think. I should probably look it up, but no changes, no updates have been done to it. And I thought, you know what? This needs a lot of work, and I'm going to unsubscribe because you're clearly not focused on this app, and I'm not going to pay for something to be maintained. I think that's a reason to use subscriptions, is ongoing support of the app. If
absolutely,
you're
yeah.
not supporting the app, I'm not going to subscribe. And so there's a lot of apps out there, a lot of products out there, and quite frankly, I want to build my own now. So
I would like, actually, I'm just thinking, I never thought about this before, but it would be great if Apple, as perhaps part of this win back thing and messaging, if they'd let you show the customer a survey of like two questions or something, like multiple choice, like, or which of these, what's the biggest problem with the app, or I don't know, just something like, hey, the guy's leaving. Let's ask him one question if we can. He doesn't have to click it, but he could, and it's right there, maybe on one screen. Not multiple screens full. Just like, hey, you're unsubscribing. Message from the app. Hey, sorry to see you go. Can you just tell us what's one thing area we could have done better? A, B, C, D,
yeah,
E.
that wouldn't be too bad.
It would be great to have that sort of departing feedback, because just so often you just don't get that information. Like you say right now, hey, I'm unhappy that these people haven't been updating this, and it's only $10 a year, but also they're doing nothing and it's got issues. So
Right, right. Well, we are out of time, Drew. We've gone over a lot of news, and
we are out of time. I actually have one more thing anyway. It's really short. On App Store Connect. So see how this resonates with you. On App Store Connect, there's like a trends tab and an apps tab and some analytics, I think. And one of the things they've said since WWDC, or maybe it was before that, that the trends is going to go away, and instead you're just going to be able to see things within the app, in the apps area. And what they've added things in the apps area now to see, like, the same kind of things you had in trends, like how many people downloaded the app, what was your revenue, what was your after the fee, or were there subscription changes and that kind of thing. And they've added that, but now it's all per app, which a lot of times you do want to see it per app, but you also, I feel like you lose this whole, like, what's my overview look like? And if you've got like one app that's it's 99% of everything you do, then who cares? But if you have, let's say, a handful of dumb little apps that all of them don't, each of them doesn't do much, it's really hard to have a sense looking at just the individual the per app analytics screens to see how you're doing. Do you have a thought on that, or not really?
Oh, no, I do. It makes sense because I mean, underscore David Smith, right? David Smith. He is obviously Widget Smith. Is I don't use it, but it's probably his biggest, from what I understand. What is his step counter plus plus? He's known for having
So both
many
pluses, yeah.
pedometer plus, yeah, plus plus all the things. He's known for having a lot of apps, and so for a person like him, then you want to look at the whole picture of the business itself, and yeah, you get into the granularity of how is each individual app doing. But I totally get it. But is there a tool for this to collaborate your entire
Uh,
picture?
Not so far that I've seen. I hope they add something for that, and I can't imagine that people wouldn't lose their mind about it. But also, the biggest people probably don't care because they have one product.
One thing, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Doesn't seem like too hard of a problem to solve to collaborate.
No, it doesn't. But it does seem like a problem that they're creating for not unnecessarily. So
Yeah, you've added granularity and detail, which is nice, but you've also removed the big picture. So,
right, right.
uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had about
Yeah.
that. I just wanted to say it out loud.
It's good. That's good. It's all part of the developer life, I think.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, as you said, we are out of time. I appreciate.
We are out of time, Drew, but this has been a great discussion of news, App Store Connect, and developer. The how we do things and how you get by with the tools that you have.
All right. Well, great. Good talking to you. Thanks, listeners. We'll talk to you soon.